I've been politically active for about 30 years, not holding office, but active in attempting to defend the Constitution, trying to get government, particularly Congress, to obey the Constitution, going all the way back to when William Hughes was the congressman. I've lived in South Jersey for about just over 40 years now. I've had a variety of businesses. I've been a real estate broker, hotel, motel, restaurant owner, operator. I've owned and operated a print shop. I've been a commercial fisherman. I've run Delmont Sawmill, and I still do for the past 29 years, a life I really enjoy. I'm an inventor. I'm the inventor of an ocean wave energy converting power plant, beach erosion reversal system, oil spill containment boom. That's all one invention. As a result of the energy crisis of the 70s, and that's how I became politically active, as I began sending information to the Department of Energy showing how New Jersey's coast would generate over $1 billion worth of electricity annually, totally clean, totally renewable. The only byproduct would be a reversal of beach erosion, thereby saving hundreds of millions of tax dollars annually. And I found that the Department of Energy was, despite all the hype and rhetoric about making America energy self-sufficient and burning less fossil fuels, that the real policy was I was being stonewalled. And I saw over the years how at the height of the energy crisis of the 70s, we're importing 29% of our oil out of the Persian Gulf. And now, courtesy of the Department of Energy, now it's up to 70%. But I saw it gradually increasing. I saw there's something else going on behind the scenes. And what that is America is being converted into a socialist country. Now it's becoming pretty obvious to everyone. The economy is probably the biggest factor in people's minds. In 2008, I ran Constitution Party candidate for Congress, also against Frank Lobiondo. But the media then pretty much treated me like the invisible man. It didn't much matter at that time what a third-party candidate's platform was. The fact that someone was third-party, they were kind of automatically discounted by the media. So most people don't even know that I ran, even though I put my heart and soul into it. This time is a little different. In the past 2 years, now we have millions of Americans gravitating towards Tea Parties, 9/12ers, Campaign for Liberty, Liberty and Prosperity in Atlantic County, and groups like that, because they have deep concerns over what they see happening to our country, is change being forced upon our country. They're concerned for their children, they're concerned for their grandchildren, and their personal sense of responsibility has compelled them to get away from their television sets and see what they could do. And so they're gravitating towards it, like the Tea Party. Well, that is what I see as the definition of patriotism. A patriot, despite the crowd, says, no, I will not stand idly by and acquiesce to this change, not on my watch. I'll not compromise my principles, I'll not compromise my morals. Yeah, please turn that phone off. I'm sorry, I should have turned my cell phone off. I'll not compromise my principles, I'll not compromise my morals. The faith of a patriot is based in the eternal principles of morality. The faith of a politician is based on reason and compromise. And that's the difference, and still is the difference, between the American and French revolutions. So I'm running again in 2010 because all the reasons that compelled me to run in 2008 are in spades now. We have the highest rate of unemployment since the Great Depression. We're over $13 trillion in debt and trying to borrow our way out of debt. Have our borders wide open. Crime wave sweeping across the country, because we'll get into more details about these issues. We have troops deployed in Iraq, Afghanistan. We actually have troops in over 130 nations, but Iraq and Afghanistan, where the biggest conflicts are, no declaration of war is required by the Constitution. Even though we have young men and women dying, they have a full commitment. They are in the battlefield. Their lives are on the line, but Congress doesn't have the backbone to live up to their constitutional requirement of a declaration declaration of war. So these things compelled me to run. I've been active for a long time in the fight to stop a constitutional convention, which, if you go to my website, it is on the website, BoyceYourChoice.com, and click on
events.
events. I'd given a PowerPoint presentation to the Greenwich Tea Party group exposing the dangers of a constitutional convention. We're not going to get into that during this interview because there's not enough time to fully explain it, but if you go to that video, it explains it very clearly. It's an extreme danger to the Constitution.
The one thing I want to bring up is that you have, jobs are a big part of your campaign. The government does not create jobs. That's one thing that, unless you're taking on jobs that the government, establishes, like they're adding 15,000 employees to the IRS, they don't create. They take away from the population. What is it that you see that needs to be done to get the economy moving again, so that we can start to expect some jobs, particularly here in southern New Jersey or the eastern seaboard, or our general area? What is it going to take?
Jobs, jobs, jobs. Where'd they go? Why did they go? How can we get them back? There's actually a very simple solution. First, to understand why they went. Right? Jobs and prosperity go hand in hand. Prosperity and liberty go hand in hand. On a telephone call?
Yeah, well, go ahead.
Prosperity and liberty go hand in hand. It's people. What people see is that we've lost jobs. Right. What's really happening is we're losing liberty. Take NAFTA. When NAFTA was pushed through, North American Free Trade Agreement. North American Free Trade Agreement. Gee, that sounds nice. 22,000 pages of regulations. That doesn't spell free trade. That spells highly regulated trade. So highly regulated that American companies, businesses, whole industries like the textile industry in the Carolinas has closed and reopened in China, India, Pakistan, wherever, not in America anymore. They're being strangled in an ocean of red tape and regulations. The first thing we need to get real. We need to repeal this unconstitutional burdens, these regulations on business and industry. As we repeal those regulations and business and industry can breathe again, begin to make a profit again, then they can begin to invest in more machinery, more employees, and prosperity returns. It's not the jobs are a symptom it's a serious symptom. NAFTA has cost America over 15 million jobs. It's a symptom of the problem. The real problem is the loss of liberty.
Many times, my listeners have been listening to me talk about issues regarding the U.S. national debt, and today we're approaching. It's 13,622 billion. We're averaging $4.16 billion every day. That's not what we're spending. That's what we're borrowing just to cover our debt, the expenses that are going on, and the concept of taxing us like this and continuing to spend the way we do. How is it that the Congress at this point, and that's what's going on. I've been telling people in the Tea Party's movement is to move the people who are players right now out of the way and make the changes. No one, everybody, including their current congressman, is still in that pool. They're still the people who are doing this deed to us, and we're borrowing $4 billion every day. How can you stop that? What will you do to stop
Well, first of all, you ask a 4-year-old, is it possible to borrow your way out of debt? And a 4-year-old can figure that out, but they can't seem to figure that out. And the reason that they can't figure it out is because it's the programs, let me say, the essence of freedom is the proper limitation of government. That's Edmund Burke. Not no government, just the proper amount of government to do perform those functions that can only be carried out on that level. Just protect our rights and nothing more. Okay. Well, it's kind of hard for congressmen to get reelected on just doing the bare necessity of protecting our rights and leaving the people provide for themselves. So what they do is begin to provide services. Okay? The social services, the earmarks, the bringing home the bacon back to their district at the expense of the taxpayers of other districts. Okay? Well, all this unconstitutional spending, right, the money has to come from somewhere. Now, if they try to tax the people to that degree, people object. Raising our taxes, I'm not going to vote for you. So the alternative is to borrow the money. Well, if they're borrowing the money without raising the tax, without reducing spending, that would stop the freebies, perhaps cost them the next election. So they accomplish it by borrowing. Who are they borrowing against? They're borrowing against the future labor of America's children and grandchildren. And who are they borrowing it from? Communist China, the most bloodthirsty regime in the history of humanity, for the sake of re-election.
And they're now trying to change the currency, the world currency, to the yen and pull away from the American dollar because they see it becoming a bit weak. We're going to have to take a real short break and give you a word from GG Seafood and Modern Heating. They are making it possible for this program, that is Meet Your Candidate, right here on 1240 WSNJ and QBC TV2. The first candidate out of the box is Peter Boyce. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back after this.
GG's